Your Excellency, Premier Li Keqiang, distinguished heads of state, esteemed ministers, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. It is wonderful to be back in China and to see so many good friends and familiar faces here on the occasion of the 11th annual meeting of the new champions. Thank you, Premier Li, for your strong support, your strong and unwavering support since the first meeting took place here in Dalian 10 years ago. Let me just share 4 impressions. First, since we met last year, key events have taken place, all of which demonstrate the role of China as a responsive and responsible global leader. First, at the G20 Hangzhou Summit, China provided a framework for collaboration to achieve innovative, connected, and inclusive global goals. Second, during the annual meeting in Davos in January this year, President Xi expressed explicit support for a global rules-based order. His speech will be remembered for a long time, and will be considered by historians as a tipping point for a global transformation from a unipolar to a multipolar world. Third, the Belt and Road Summit in May demonstrated to the world a new concept of regional and global cooperation based on a platform approach with win-win opportunities supported by strong investments in the physical and digital infrastructure. Fourth, also last month only, you, Premier Li, underscored the deep commitment of China to the Paris Agreement, which is absolutely essential for maintaining a global approach to save our planet from environmental degradation and to act as true trustees of the next generations. I also want to share with you a second impression. At the beginning of this meeting, the fact that when we assembled last year in Tianjin, there were deep concerns about the future vitality and resilience of the Chinese economy. Again, all the doubters were proven wrong, and China will demonstrate the dynamism of its economy with a healthy growth rate this year, estimated by the IMF to be 6.7%. This is a great contribution to the global economy. Third, also in the last 12 months, since we met last time, China has shown even more its capability to become a leader in the 4th industrial revolution. The key to success in this new economy is innovation and mass entrepreneurship. Mr. Premier, you announced those principles 3 years ago in our meeting. China has become a pioneer in many key technological and scientific domains that are shaping our future. We have to use those technologies for the benefit of society. This is why we have chosen as a theme for this year's annual meeting of the new champion, inclusive growth, in the fourth industrial revolution. This summit, my dear friends, has become really the global summit of the new champions. Unique, it is unique, because the program is at the very forefront of technological innovation and progress. And a large number of sessions are part of ongoing working processes of the World Economic Forum, with the purpose to shape the global future. Therefore, this summit is not just a conference. It's that it brings together and it reflects the willingness of politics, business, civil society, the young generation, and academia to jointly shape a more prosperous, a more peaceful, and a more sustainable world. Finally, I would like to conclude with a metaphor. In the future, it will be not anymore the large fish which eats the small fish. It will be the fast fish which eats the slow fish. And Mr. Premier, here in this hall, you have 2,000 new champions, drivers of the economy and creators of jobs. Whether big or small, I hope that you all will leave this meeting a little bit faster. It is my great honor to invite His Excellency Li Keqiang, Premier of the People's Republic of China, to the podium to share his opening remarks.
Professor Schwab, heads of government, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, friends. First of all, on behalf of the Chinese government, I would like to congratulate on the opening of the 11th annual meeting of the new champions. Last night, I had a meeting with Professor Schwab, and we recalled that 10 years ago, the annual meeting of the new champions was actually born in the city of Dalian. The Summer Davos was an infant 10 years ago, and today it has grown up, and it has grown up in a rapidly changing world. Together with Professor Schwab and his wife and some of the delegates attending the Summer Davos this year, we walked out of the meeting room and walked onto a viewing stand. We saw a mountain in the distance, but the mountain was surrounded by a veil of mist. When we appreciated this scenery, we cannot but think of the world today. The mountain is a symbol of stability in the world and the sustainability of mankind. The mountain represents uninterrupted progress of human civilization, while the mist that surrounds the mountains may symbolize some of the uncertainties and destabilizing factors in the world we live in today. The meeting we are having today is for the purpose of responding to those changes and uncertainties with stability, and also to respond the uncertainties with the creativity that ensures continued progress of human civilization. The world is making continued progress against the backdrop of globalization. The new round of industrial revolution is giving birth to new industries, business models, and technologies. Never before have we human beings been presented with so many opportunities of development. On the other hand, we also see that the global economic recovery is progressing, but the foundation is not yet firmly established. Geopolitical risks are on the rise, and structural challenges still abound. But I believe, just like the view, as long as we stand committed, we will be able to respond and prevail. Uncertainties, and of course, this stability will be strengthened through innovation and reform. At the keynote speech delivered by President Xi Jinping earlier this year in the winter Davos, he elaborated on China's commitment to economic globalization and free trade. The theme of this year's annual meeting of the new champions, Achieving Inclusive Growth in the Fourth Industrial Revolution, is highly relevant. A review of world history shows that every time there was an industrial revolution, it always gave a strong push to social productivity and the progress of human civilization. This new latest round of industrial revolution happens in the context of economic globalization. It is changing our world with unprecedented speed, breadth, and depth, and it has provided limitless opportunities for all economies. However, if inadequate measures are taken, it may also create the problem of lack of inclusive growth. In other words, it will create the problem of fairness. For example, some people may have benefited more from other groups of people, and traditional industries and jobs may feel the impact. The gap between returns on capital and return on labor may also be widened. And if these problems can be addressed properly, it will create both social and economic values. The lack of inclusiveness in growth may result in idle workforces and resources. And also imbalanced development among different groups and regions. And in that way, market potential cannot be fully leveraged, and economic growth will not be sustainable. To achieve inclusive growth can help increase social equity and make development more beneficial to all. And to achieve inclusive growth is for the purpose of achieving sustainable growth. Compared with previous industrial revolutions, the new industrial revolution presents greater opportunities for inclusive growth. The new industrial revolution, represented by network, digital, and intelligent technologies, has created new supplies and demands. It has expanded the space of development and also created more opportunities for equal participation of all parties. With the help of the internet, everyone can pursue innovation, start up their business, and create wealth. In the remote mountainous areas in China, farmers can sell their local specialty agricultural products to big cities in China in 1 or 2 days. with the help of express delivery, and they can sell their agricultural produce at a price several times more than the local prices. This is just one example of the power of the internet. If we can provide this kind of opportunity to all of the people, to all those people that have the willingness to create, they will be given unprecedented opportunities to pursue their business. And the small and the medium-sized enterprises are now able to stand at the same starting point as big companies. They have also become the new champions of emerging industries. Developing countries can better leverage their comparative strength and the latecomers' advantage. And these are happening in the world. What we need to do is to enable more countries and companies to achieve a faster development in the new industrial revolution. In the world today, to promote inclusive growth, we need to firmly uphold economic globalization, because economic globalization has greatly facilitated the flow of goods, capital, and personnel. It has provided producers with a bigger market, presented consumers with more choices. During the past 30 years and more of China's opening up, the Chinese consumers have gained more choices of products from all over the world. Without opening up, without globalization, this would be unimaginable. And also, in the course of economic globalization, all countries can benefit, be it developing country or developed country. They can all benefit. But that being said, both developed countries and developing countries have encountered various kinds of problems. But these problems are not caused by economic globalization per se. Economic globalization is bringing benefits to all countries. But if countries are not able to fully harness the benefit of economic globalization, they may also encounter some challenges. But just like when we sprain our ankle when walking on the road, we should not blame the uneven road and just stop walking. We need to better steer and adapt to economic globalization, promote trade and investment liberalization and facilitation, and also at the same time reform and strengthen international trade rules to ensure equal rights, equal opportunities, and equal rules for all countries in international economic cooperation. Some people have raised the issue of fair trade, but as a matter of fact, free trade as the foundation of economic globalization is the precondition of fair trade. Restricting free trade bring unequal trade, and the principle of fairness is the essential element of free trade. As for the problems or even disputes in trade relations, we should take into account each other's national conditions, conduct equal-footed consultation, accommodate each other's interests, and seek areas of convergent interests and a balance. And this will enable us to find a win-win solution that leverages the complementarity of each other's comparative strength. In international economic relations, one should not impose unilateral rules on others. And this is the only, and only in this way can we ensure both free and fair trade. To promote inclusive growth, countries should rely on their own efforts. Countries need to take proper measures to address such challenges as unemployment, widening income gap, and poverty. And the determining factor is the own actions and choices of countries. It is important to promote growth that benefits all. provide equal opportunities for participation, strengthen future-oriented education to make workers better prepared for their jobs in the course of industrial revolution, and address the structural problems of employment. It is also important to support vulnerable groups so that all can benefit from development. And talking about sustainable development, we should not fail to mention climate change. Countering climate change is the common responsibility of the international community. China will honor its commitment and implement the measures to deal with climate change. Although China is still a developing country, and we need to make tremendous efforts in the fight against climate change, but this is an endeavor that is required by China's own development. Ladies and gentlemen, China has been committed to promoting inclusive growth. In recent years, despite the sluggish world economy, the Chinese economy has been able to maintain steady growth. An important reason is that our growth is getting more and more inclusive. We have been following the principles of innovative, coordinated, green, open, and shared development, followed the general trend of economic globalization and a new industrial revolution. We have adopted development strategies with inclusive features, put in place institutions and mechanisms that guarantee inclusiveness, and taken policy steps that promote inclusiveness. We have embarked on a path of inclusive growth with our own unique features. We have given priority to employment because employment is the foundation for achieving inclusive growth. Without relatively adequate employment, there will be no inclusive growth, and there will be no source of income and social wealth. China has a workforce of over 900 million, and every year about 13 million university and junior college graduates enter into the workforce. And also we have a large number of surplus rural labor force migrating to cities and townships. So we take employment as a key indicator for measuring the performance of the Chinese economy. And one of the key objectives of stabilizing growth is to secure employment. We have taken proactive employment policies and adopted a full range of measures to expand employment and create new jobs. And we also make sure that there's at least one member of each family that gets a secure job. In the past few years, more than 13 million new jobs were created in China's urban areas every year, and the urban unemployment rate has been kept at around 5%. Over the past 4 and 5 years, more than 50 million new jobs, new urban jobs have been created. According to the survey of some authoritative international economic organizations, which also have relationship with the World Economic Forum, led by Professor Schwab, China ranks first in terms of employment. Maybe that's also because China is the most populous country in the world. But indeed, we have made utmost efforts to promote employment. For a big country with 1.3 billion population, to ensure adequate employment itself is an important contribution to inclusive growth.
We need to open up new channels of employment and create new jobs. In this process, we need to encourage more and more people to get involved in entrepreneurship and innovation. Everyone can take part, fully tap his potential, and share in the benefits. This is the inherent requirement of inclusive growth and a defining feature of today's China. In recent years, China has fully implemented the innovation-driven development strategy, extensively carried out mass entrepreneurship and innovation, and fostered relevant enabling conditions. And we have achieved better than expected results. China's mass entrepreneurship and innovation is an extensive endeavor, not only including research institutes and companies, but also more and more ordinary people who have taken part in this process. As the Chinese saying goes, 80 mortals cross the sea, each showing his magical power. In 2014, I put forward the concept of mass entrepreneurship and innovation. Over the past several years, 40,000 new market entities have emerged every day, including 14,000 newly registered companies every day, which means that every year 3 million new market entities and companies have emerged. And in May this year, there were 18,000 newly registered companies in May this year. We have fostered an open and sharing platform for mass entrepreneurship and innovation. Various players have worked together, carry out sound online-offline interaction, have put the wisdom and strength, and made innovation and entrepreneurship less costly, faster, and more efficient. Recently, the World Intellectual Property Organization published the 2017 Global Innovation Index. China ranks 22nd place and 13 notches higher than 2013, number one among the middle-income economies. China's entrepreneurship and innovation has delivered benefits to almost everyone, enabling everyone to enjoy, to have jobs and fully tap their own potential. And in this process, everyone has enjoyed relevant benefits. For new industries, new business forms, and new business models such as e-commerce, mobile payment, and bike sharing, we have carried out inclusive and prudential regulatory method to promote their sound development. This has not only created an unimaginable number of jobs, but also made people's lives more convenient. Lastly, among all the newly created jobs, the new drivers contributed around 70%. Mass entrepreneurship and innovation has given more people opportunities to change their lives and expanded the channels of social mobility. China's mass entrepreneurship and innovation has also given a strong boost to economic transformation and upgrading. It has promoted the rapid development of emerging industries and injected new vigor and vitality to traditional industries. Yesterday, I paid a visit to a company with an 80-year history in Dalian. They have promoted mass entrepreneurship and innovation, and in this process, over 85% of their products have become tailor-made products, and they can meet the changing market conditions. Every participant can fully tap his potential on this soft production assembly line. And this way has also changed and transformed the traditional drivers. China's mass entrepreneurship and innovation, with its wide participation, has developed rapidly, formed robust momentum, and grown stronger. It is an effective way of inclusive growth. We have also increased people's livelihood and meet people's basic needs. China remains the biggest developing country, and we have worked hard to meet the people's basic needs of food, clothing, housing, education, healthcare. This is very important. We have already established the social safety networks for elderly care, healthcare, and compulsory education. These three basic social safety networks, they are not sophisticated enough, but they are wide-ranging and extensive. We have also worked hard to improve the production and living conditions of the poor people. We have pursued poverty reduction in rural areas and redevelopment of shantytowns in urban areas. Over the past 30 years, 700 million people have been lifted out of poverty. We are working hard on targeted poverty reduction and poverty elimination at the moment, and we plan to lift the remaining over 40 million rural poor population out of poverty by 2020. China used to have over 100 million people living in shantytowns in urban areas, and still, at the moment, over 50 million people are living in shantytowns. Over the past 8 years, we have renovated over 30 million housing units in the shanty towns and increased housing conditions for 80 million people, which equals to the population of a major country. In pursuing inclusive growth, we want to create better lives and more dignified lives for the people and promote more dynamic and sustainable economic and social development. I've stated these achievements. Meanwhile, we do not ignore our problems. China remains a developing country. This is something that we bear in mind every second. We have a lot of poor population, a lot of low-income people. To promote modernization in China and promote inclusive growth, we still have a long way to go. We need to continue to learn from other countries. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you have a keen interest in China's economic performance this year. Since the beginning of this year, China has sustained a sound momentum of sound economic development. In Q1, our economy grew 6.9%. In particular, the performance and structure has increased significantly. Based on our data in Q2, we maintained the sound momentum of Q1. In the first 5 months, the traditional indicators such as power generation, power consumption, and new business orders have all increased significantly, and indicators of the new economy also increased even faster. And the profits of industrial companies above a designated scale increased by double digits. The foreign exchange reserve increased fast, and the RMB exchange rate has been basically stable. And employment situation has been quite encouraging. And in May, the surveyed unemployment rate in urban areas fell to 4.91%, the lowest in many years. Recently, several international organizations and research institutes raised their forecast for China's economic growth. They believe that the new drivers of China's development have built up. China has made steady progress towards economic rebalancing, and this has reflected the optimistic forecast of the market. China's economic performance is encouraging, and meanwhile, the internal structure has improved. This is more important. In recent years, faced with downward economic pressure, China has refrained from massive stimulus or followed the traditional development approach of relying too much on resources and export. Instead, in recent years, we have promoted reform and transformation. We have adjusted structure. As a result, we have relied less on export and investment, and now we are relying more on consumption, the service sector, and domestic demand. Last year, consumption contributed 64.6% to economic growth, becoming a primary driver of economic growth, and the service sector accounted for 51.6%. Current account balance to GDP ratio now fell to 1.8%. Domestic demand has now become a robust pillar of the economy. These major transformations have revealed the improvement of China's quality and structure, and also ensured greater stability and sustainability of China's economic growth. This can also present more opportunities for the rest of the world. China does not only buy a lot of consumer goods from other countries, import a lot of goods from other countries. We imported over $2 trillion of goods from other countries. And every year, 130 million Chinese tourists go abroad. At the moment, China is faced with a lot of difficulties and challenges. We are fully prepared for them. China is undergoing domestic economic transformation, and the external environment is complicated. Some indicators of economic performance will inevitably see some slight fluctuation in China, but the momentum of sound growth will not change. At the beginning of the year, at the press conference, I said that there will not be a hard landing for the Chinese economy. I have strong ground to argue this. In terms of the second half of this year, we are fully capable of fulfilling this year's main targets of economic development. We will stay committed to making progress while maintaining stability. We will focus on supply-side structural reform, promote economic transformation and upgrading, and increase internal drivers of development. We will fully deepen reform and unleash greater dynamism of economic development and social creativity. We will focus on delegating powers, streamlining administration, cutting taxes and fees, and reducing institutional transaction costs. We will promote fair competition, relax market access, provide more convenient services, and remove various barriers to investment and development of companies. We will carry out structural tax cuts, sort out various charges on businesses. On the basis of cutting 2 trillion yuan of taxes and fees in previous years, we will this year adopt policies to cut another 1 trillion yuan lower burden on companies. And in this way, the market entities will feel the impact of our policies, but we will also strengthen inspection in this process. China has promoted Belt and Road Initiative. This is based on extensive consultation, joint contribution, and shared benefits. This has created new opportunities for businesses around the world. In this process, we can work together to explore the third market and achieve win-win results. We will continue to advance structural adjustment and accelerate the replacement of old drivers with new ones. We will promote innovation-driven development and encourage large companies, SMEs, research institutes, and makers to carry out integrated innovation and foster emerging industrial clusters. We're happy to see that a lot of Chinese companies, the big companies or super companies in China, have created a lot of space and platforms for mass entrepreneurship and innovation and fostered a lot of makers. And even in space and aviation, the most sophisticated industry-relevant companies have used the cloud platform to attract millions of makers to participate in the innovation and development of those companies. We will continue to apply market-based and law-based methods to address overcapacity in steel, coal, and coal power industries and eliminate backward productivity. China has become a middle-income country, and consumption is vital in this process. Consumption is the end demand. By expanding consumption, we can fully tap the potential of the market and create more jobs. We will meet the new need of upgraded consumption, continuing to improve consumption environment, foster and strengthen new areas of consumption. This can not only improve people's lives and inject new vigor for sustained and inclusive growth of the economy. We will take proactive efforts to expand opening up and foster a business environment with international competitiveness. We will accelerate efforts to build an open economic system that can fit the needs of economic globalization and the new industrial revolution. We will further relax market access for the service sector and the manufacturing sector and relax foreign investment equity quota in some areas, which has been of great interest to a lot of foreign companies. We will advance and improve negative list management model and treat domestic and foreign companies as equals in terms of support policies. And as foreign companies get registered in China, we are taking relevant pilot program to promote and provide single window services for the foreign companies. In this way, the registration process will be streamlined. As we promote Made in China 2025 strategy as well as other innovation strategies for support policies that are consistent with WTO rules, we have carried out these rules equally for all companies. For both domestic and foreign companies, we have treated all of them equally. We have also encouraged foreign invested companies to invest in China with the profits they make in China. You can have a broad vision and you can draw comparisons between different countries. But I think for those companies which have made a long-term investment in China can feel that you have get integrated into China's economic development and have strong capacity of local production. If you can invest in China with the profits you have made in China, you will enjoy even greater benefits. And let me reassure you here that for the profits made by foreign companies in China, you can make investment anywhere. There will be no restrictions on the flow of your profits. We will also support multinational companies in setting regional headquarters in China. There is strong promise here because there are some old industrial bases in northeast China and in central and western China with good potential. In the next 5 years, China will import $8 trillion of goods. The Chinese economy will enjoy sound economic development for a long time to come. We will present a lot of opportunities for countries around the world. We will continue to be a popular destination of investment. We welcome the investment of all countries and will work together with them to achieve common development. Well, some people will say that China is still faced with some risks. We do not deny these risks. We are clearly aware of these risks. But we believe that the lack of development is the biggest risk in China. We have advanced development in the financial sector. There are some risks, but we have the ability to uphold the bottom line of non-systemic financial risks. We have identified the risks in some sectors. We have dealt with them promptly, and the risks are generally under control. We are taking effective measures to address these risks in a timely manner. China will take coordinated measures to address various risks in the course of economic development. The debt ratio of the Chinese government is relatively low compared with other economies. And China has relatively high savings rate, capital adequacy ratio, commercial banks, and provision coverage ratio. We have sufficient ability to prevent various risks and ensure that the economy will perform within the reasonable range and ensure medium high-speed growth of the economy and move to the medium-high level. I hope that foreign investment will be bullish about the Chinese market. For both domestic and foreign companies, I hope that all of you will have a good expectation on China. Here, we are not doing a promotion, but we are making argument on solid facts. We want to show you the prospect that are totally within our reach. The Chinese people often say, ladies and gentlemen, that the sea is vast as it admits all rivers. A more inclusive world will be a more splendid place. We're ready to work with other countries to stay committed to economic globalization and the new industrial revolution. And in this process, we want to pursue inclusive growth and build a community of shared future for mankind and create an even better future for the entire mankind. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Premier, for providing us with such great insights into your policies, particularly also related to the challenge to create inclusive growth. Mr. Premier, you kindly agreed to respond to one or two questions. We will have simultaneous translation, so be prepared that your device doesn't function. Mr. Premier, you explained to us the dynamism of the Chinese economy, and you also explained to us some policies which will help to preserve the dynamic momentum of China's economic development. Now, if we look at the very impressive growth rate of close to 7%. We have always to keep in mind China has become the second largest economy in the world. So to achieve 7% or close to 7% is an incredible achievement. So can you share with us, maybe more in detail, what measures the Chinese government will take to ensure the continuation of the dynamic momentum of its economic development?
中国经济过去10年曾经有过2位数的增长，现在中国经济呢，从高速增长逐步的转换到中高速增长，比如今年1季度是6.9%。有人说这是放缓了，可以这么说，但不完全准确。因为中国经济的体量不一样。现在每增长1个百分点，相当于5年前的1.5个百分点，10年前的2个百分点。我经常比喻，一个小孩子翻跟头，一口气可以翻10几下，但是像我们这样的成年人，一口气能翻3、4个跟头就很了不得了。世界上的主要经济体，只要超过2万亿美金的增速，能够在大多数能够在3%以上，那就相当了不得了。我们现在要推动世界经济复苏，这也是一个重要的标志。但是，中国要维系中高速的增长，长期是很不容易的。那么，我们要采取的措施，刚才。
But for the Chinese economy to maintain medium to high growth, as for the measures we are going to take, as I said just now, at least we are going to take 3 measures.
We will have consecutive translation.
China used to have a double-digit growth rate, but now this growth rate has moderated to a medium-high speed. In Q1 of 2017, China's economy expanded at 6.9%. When one looks at the Chinese economy nowadays, it's important for one to be fully aware of the total size of the economy. The current 1 percentage point of growth in China's GDP generates the same amount of additional output as 1.5% 5 years ago or 2% 10 years ago. There is an analogy that I often use when describing this kind of situation. That is, for a little child to do a dozen somersaults, it may be very easy for him to do it at one go. But for an adult to do even 3 or 4 somersaults at one go would be quite an accomplishment. And for the economies in today's world, with a total size of $2 trillion or above, a 3% GDP growth rate would be quite an achievement. So it would not be easy for China to sustain the momentum of medium-high growth rate. You asked about, Professor, what policies and measures will China take to sustain this positive momentum? I have already laid out some of the steps we have taken in my special address. In a word, they can be summed up in 3 major aspects.
我以为全球化和新的技术革命发展如此之迅速，使我们之间已经没有什么差距、障碍，所以刚才讲了一番，有很多人还不太听得懂的语言。
Well, I thought that with globalization and advances of information technology, we would have no barriers to communication at all, and that, I'm afraid, explains why I set a long piece in a language which may be foreign to you.
这说明啊，我们还要继续推进新的工业革命的发展。
Seems that is a good cause for the further advances of the new round of industrial revolution.
刚才施瓦布主席讲到，中国经济10年前曾经是高速增长，达到2位数。这些年来，我们逐步放缓。今年1季度是6.9%，可以说叫做中高速增长。用放缓这个词可以这么描述，但不完全准确。因为呢，中国经济啊，现在每增长1个百分点是5年前的1.5个百分点，是10年前的2个百分点，经济体量不一样。主要经济体超过2-3万亿美元的，每年能够有3%以上的增长，那就是很了不起的成绩。这是世界经济复苏所追求的目标。所以我也希望呢，大家能够客观地看待中国经济的这种走势。但另外一个方面，中国经济会持续保持中高速增长。因为中国有13亿人口，我们还是一个发展中的国家，我们有巨大的市场潜力和社会的创造力。
So let me once again repeat my key points here. As Professor also mentioned, that China used to have a very high growth speed some 10 years ago at a double-digit rate. But in recent years, China's GDP growth has somewhat moderated. But when one looks at China's economy, it's important for one to view it in an objective light. Because of the total size of the economy has become so big, the 1 percentage point of growth nowadays adds the same amount of output as 1.5 percentage points 5 years ago. And we believe also in nowadays in the global community, for major economies with a size of over 2 or 3 trillion US dollars, 3% growth would already be quite an accomplishment. And that is also the objective that we work for in driving global economic recovery. At the same time, we have strong confidence in China's ability of sustaining a medium-high growth speed, because this country is still the largest developing country with such a large population. The country still holds tremendous market potential and public creativity.
要维系中国经济较长时间中高速增长，需要多种措施。在当前和一段时间，起码有3条我们会坚守住。第一是保持宏观政策的稳定，也就是说，继续实施积极的财政政策和稳健的货币政策。我们不会搞大水漫灌，而是要推动结构调整，将会给市场一个稳定的、明确的预期。市场经济预期是最重要的。
To sustain the momentum of medium-high growth rate, we have resorted to multiple steps. We will continue to do our efforts in the following 3 respects. The first is we will maintain the continuity of our macroeconomic policies. This means we will continue to implement a proactive fiscal policy and prudent monetary policy. We will not resort to massive stimulus measures. Instead, we will continue to undertake structural adjustments and give a stable and clear signal to the market. We all know that in a market economy, expectation is of critical importance.
第二，我们要继续深化改革开放，在推进供给侧改革方面，要着力推动简政 放权、放宽，降低市场准入的门槛，同时加强市中市户监管，营造公平的竞争环境，减费降税，给企业减负，让市场的活力更多的迸发。
Second, we will continue to carry out reform and opening up. In undertaking supply-side structural reforms, the government will continue to streamline administration, delegate government power, widen market access, and enhance compliance oversight so that there will be a level playing field for all market entities. We intend to continue to ease corporate burden by reducing taxes and administrative fees so that the vitality of the market can be fully brought out.
第三，加快推进新旧动能的转换。我们会坚持用市场化、法治化的办法来淘汰或消化钢铁、煤炭等领域的过剩或落后产能。与此同时，我们会着力培育新的动能，发展新的业态、新的技术、新的模式，并且用包容、审慎监管的方式，使它能够成长起来，健康的发展下去。对中外企业，我们都是一视同仁。
Third, we will work to accelerate the replacement of traditional drivers of growth with new drivers of growth. We intend to adopt market and law-based approach to phase out overcapacity in steel and coal sectors. In growing those new drivers of growth, we will work to encourage the development of new industries, new technologies, and new business models. In this process, the government will take prudent yet also tolerant supervision and inspection of those new areas so that they will be able to enjoy enabling environment for healthy growth. Chinese and foreign invested enterprises will be treated as equals.
Mr. Premier, one more question. Having conceptualized the concept of the fourth industrial revolution, I first want to congratulate you and your government because you really have integrated the notion of the fourth industrial revolution, best probably of all governments, in your economic policies. Now, the fourth industrial revolution has adverse and sometimes disruptive impacts on employment, on income distribution. You mentioned it already in your speech, but could you share with us what measures you are taking to reduce as much as possible those negative effects?
谈到第四次工业革命，我也想借这个机会祝贺您以及祝贺中国政府。我认为，在把第四次工业革命这个概念融入到国家经济发展政策当中，中国政府的做法是在所有政府中最有效的。同时，我们也都认为第四次工业革命的发展对一国的就业、收入分配等方面也产生了颠覆性的影响。刚才您在演讲中也谈到了一部分。我想问的问题是，中国政府会采取什么措施来尽可能把这样颠覆性的影响降到最低？
感谢12部先生对中国政府在第四次工业革命或者说新一轮工业革命当中所采取措施给予的肯定，但是我们不敢说我们做的最好，因为中国有一句成语“月盈则亏”，我们始终在不完美当中追求完美。
Well, Professor, I appreciate your kind words about the steps the Chinese government has taken in the course of the fourth industrial revolution. But we can't claim ourselves being the most effective in doing so, because as the Chinese, we all know that too much sometimes leads to too little. So it seems that we are in a constant effort of aspiring for perfection in the course of facing imperfection.
至于说新一轮的工业革命，它带来的机遇是否大于挑战，我是这么认为的。但是不是在每个领域、每个方面都是如此。天下事有利必有弊。刚才施瓦布先生讲到，譬如就业，如果人工智能、机器人大规模的发展，会不会导致失业？这的确是个问题，在有些行业、有些领域就发生了。但是我们发现，新的工业革命，比如通过互联网加，通过双创，它带来的像网购、快递、共享单车等等等等这些新的技术和业态所创造的就业岗位，远远大于被机器人所代替的工作岗位。这只是一个结构转换，或者说是对人的技能的培训的调整问题。我们敢于去应对这种挑战，是因为这个挑战是不可避免的，而且我们通过发展新的业态、新的技术、新的模式，我认为完全可以大大的超过新的类似于机器人这样的技术所代替的就业岗位，而且它会让人们几乎是所有的人的个性选择会大大的发挥，形成巨大的市场潜力。每个人的智慧，甚至智商并不高的人的智慧，但他有他的特点，能够充分的发挥，众智能够更多的聚集起来，所创造的财富，所增加的岗位，远远，我们的目标就是让它远远大于失去的。
We may be asking ourselves such a question: is the fourth round of industrial revolution bringing more opportunities than challenges? To that question, my answer is a positive one. This may not be true in all respects of the economy, but everything has its pros and its cons. As far as the impact of the Industrial Revolution on employment is concerned, we have seen loss of jobs because of the emergence of artificial intelligence and robotics or automation. This has happened in some sectors. But at the same time, what we have seen is that in the course of this new round of the Industrial Revolution, empowered by the Internet Plus initiative and our initiative of mass entrepreneurship and innovation, there has been a boom of new drivers' growth in online shopping, the fast development of express delivery services, bike sharing schemes, etc. And they have added many more job opportunities than those caused by automation or the robotics. This is actually a major structural shift, and this requires that we provide upskilling training to our labor force. It is a challenge that we must face squarely. We believe that in this process, what we need to focus on is to ensure that the individual talent and creativity of every person can be brought into full play, and each one has a chance to realize his or her potential. And when that is achieved, when collective wisdom is pulled, we believe that we are able to add more jobs than what has been lost. At least that is a goal that we all need to work towards.
我们在和时间赛跑，我很赞赏刚才施瓦布先生在开场白中所说，现在不是大鱼吃小鱼，是快鱼吃慢鱼。我想略做点补充，快鱼一定会优于慢鱼，但我希望呢，慢鱼能够加快速度追上快鱼，快鱼能够回过头来帮助 鳗鱼。
We are now all racing against time. I very much appreciate what you said, that metaphor in your opening remarks, Professor Schwab, talking about nowadays it is not big fish swallowing up small fish, but faster fish swallowing up slow fish. But what I'm hoping is that the slow fish may have still the confidence and the ability to surge forward and catch up. And the fast fish, while moving forward, can also turn around and extend a helping hand to the slow fish so that all we can move forward together.
Any question?
Thank you, Premier Li Keqiang, so much for providing us with deep insights into your economic policies. And on behalf of all the participants, we wish you the very best for the implementation of those policies. Thank you.